Hey, what's going on, guys? Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope you guys can see me okay. Let me know if you can see me and hear me okay. I'm not going to talk for too long. I'm actually down here in Florida. I went to the Daytona 500 and got a chance to see something a little bit different, and it was really impressive. And I want to let you guys know before I even forget. I met a black race car driver, a 19-year-old kid named LeVar Scott. LeVar Scott is out of New Jersey. He was a good guy. He was very talented. He was winning his race and I talked to him for a minute. And one of the things that he talked about was that the difference. I said, so what's the difference between you and the guys that are running, the Kyle Larsons and the top drivers in the Daytona 500? And he said, money. And I said, just money? It's not, you don't have to qualify. It's not about, skill or talent. It's just money. He said, yeah, just money. And that really tripped me out. And another thing that was really interesting that I want to make a point on this as I talk about LeVar is he also talked about how he was in the race, and I said, you were winning for a while. I said, I thought you were going to win, and I didn't even know that there was a brother in that car. I was watching you because you were good, and then when I found out you were black, I said, man, like, this is great. This is a brother in this car. And I said, well, why didn't you win? And he said, well, because at the end, you need a driver behind you kind of pushing you, kind of doing something with the wind or something, where race car drivers push each other. At the end, he said, I didn't have anybody pushing me. The other guys were working together. I didn't have that. And you know what that made me think about is it made me think about America, right? It made me think about how a lot of times there are cases where the white guy's not more talented than you. He's not better than you at what he does. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. He just has a little more funding and he has somebody pushing him. Give me a yes in the chat if you can hear me. Give me a yes in the chat if you understand where I'm coming from. And this leads to our point. So as I talk about LeVar Scott, which is, by the way, this is a brother you should support. He's in NASCAR. He's getting it done. He's 19 years old. I was very impressed with what this brother was doing. As I mentioned this, it takes me to my next point about this guy, Grant Cardone, who I did a video about him. You can go back and watch the whole video if you want to hear my detailed thoughts about kind of Cardone and his marketing message. And one of the ways that Cardone got on my radar, again, was because he mentioned that half of his audience is black people under the age of 40. And in that comment, he said, so I use street terms and not very complex nomenclature, things like that. And I said, man, he would use the word nomenclature to a white woman, but he probably wouldn't use the word nomenclature to black people because he doesn't think that we're that smart. But then there was a deeper point of just this idea that, he said, I go after this audience. This is why we have this audience set right. And it's fine. I'm not judging you if you like the guy. I'm not telling you not to like him, but Julian Gordon, who's a guy I really respect, who's really an extraordinary real estate expert from the black community, brought up Grant Cardone's statement, and he mentioned a term that was used by another friend of mine, a person I know very well by the name of Damon Dash, and Damon uses a term called culture vulture, and so he kind of said, he asked this question. He said, does that make him a culture vulture? That he says, I specifically go after the black audience, and this is who I market to, and I use certain language in order to connect with them so I can get their. He didn't say so I can get their money, but that's what it is. He's making money, which is nothing wrong with making money, but it's interesting to me that it made me think about a time where Grant Cardone and his team reached out to me, and they asked me to come onto my podcast, and and when they asked me, I said, okay, well, a good test to me of whether or not you respect me is, are you willing to do for me what you're asking me to do for you? Are we equal? Is this, if you're trying to integrate with me, pay attention. There's a bigger point here. Give me a yes if you're following my point. When you talk about integration is not a problem. Black people and white people working together is not a problem. Blending with the races in various economic situations is not the issue. It's not. I'm not into isolationism. But what I want you to understand is that when you're talking about integration has to be a negotiation. It has to be done in a way where there's mutual respect. So my test, whenever somebody wants something from me, you know what I do? I do something that we used to do when I was little. My mother used to say, okay, I want y'all to split the cake, and whoever cuts the cake, the other person gets to pick which piece they want. You follow what I'm saying? Anybody's mother ever do that? Right? And that's the best test, right? Because if you think that I'm supposed to take something from you, then you should be willing to take the same thing from me. If you're asking me to take a bite of food, then I need you to take a bite of the food first to make sure the food ain't got poison in it. Do you understand? right? In finance, there's a deep theory here. I learned this during my PhD program. It's called the lemon theory that says that if you're going to take something from somebody that they wouldn't take themselves, then that kind of makes you a sucker. Okay. So I'm making this point. So here's what happened with Cardone. I said, okay, well, you know what? If he wants to come on my podcast, sure, I'll bring him in. I'll listen to anybody, but bring me on yours first. And then I'll know if we're equals or if you're trying to take something from me, if you're trying to extract something from me, if you're trying to get something from me that you're not willing to share. And you know what happened? I never heard back from his team again. Maybe the email got missed. I don't know, but I never heard from his team again, because they said, oh, wait a minute, here's a black man who actually wants us to do for him what we're asking him to do for us. Right. And so here's my point. Here's my point on this. So Julian Gordon, if you go to my Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. I shared Julian's video because I think it's worth checking out. And he basically talks about, various litmus tests. And he talks about how the black financial literacy game has become like the rap game. We were doing this a long time ago. A lot of other people started doing it. I think it's great. I think everybody should be talking about black financial literacy. I think black wealth should be one of the top topics of conversation in our community. But unfortunately, a lot of people are making the mistake of believing that having money somehow validates what you're doing, that making money is the only goal, and that if you got money and you got a Bentley and you got a house and you're doing well, then you're winning. I encourage you to reconsider that. The reason I want you to reconsider that is because the white man, if you believe that having money and having stuff makes you more successful than the other guy who has less stuff, then you might as well call yourself a white supremacist. You might as well call yourself a white supremacist. You might as well get on your knees and tickle a white man's balls and just tell him that he's your God. You know why? Let me tell you why. I don't mean to be harsh on a Monday morning, but I got to break it down for y'all. The reason that this is true is because who has all the money in America? Who has all the stuff? Who has all the wealth? Who has all the platforms? The white man. The white man owns everything. He owns, most of y'all, many of y'all at some point, I bet 99% of y'all at some point have worked for a white man. And they never had a white man work for you. Most white men never work for a black man, but nearly every black man works for a white man. So if all you're doing is judging yourself based on how much money you have, then you will always be a subordinate to the white man. So again, this is not anti-white. I'm not speaking against anyone else. I love myself. I don't hate you. I don't have time to hate you. So I need y'all to understand. Give me a yes if you agree that you can love black people without hating white people. I do not hate white people. I do not. I would do business with you. I just need fairness. I need equality. I need you to treat me like I'm an equal to you, not a subordinate. If you treat me like a subordinate, I'm going to walk away. Right. So the thing is, the reason that Julian Gordon's video I thought was really good about Grant Cardone is because Julian makes reference to something that Dr. Claud Anderson speaks about in the book Powernomics, that called the doctrine of unequal exchange. Go look it up. It's called the doctrine of unequal exchange. And he explains how cool sounding white guys for the last 600 years have been going to places where there are black people, starting back in Africa, and speaking the language and the rhetoric with the big gold chains and they're doing the hippity hop and the hoopity hoop and just fitting in and getting fly and all this other, having swag. And they come in there and they take all of your stuff, and they ask for stuff from you that they would never allow you to come take from them. They come in your neighborhood and will set up a business, set up shop, get banked, get paid, make $1 billion. And then when you go set up a business in their neighborhood, they burn that shit to the ground. They burn that shit to the ground. If you don't believe me, go to Chicago. There was a black-owned restaurant in Chicago. I forgot what it was called. It was a really good restaurant. I went there a couple of times, and they were bringing all these black people that had money. They were making millions of dollars, killing it. The white people in that neighborhood hated that restaurant being there. They did everything they could to sabotage it. They would call the fire department every Friday night whenever they had a full house. The state health department shut them down in the middle of their busiest night just to get rid of them. I talked to the owner. I interviewed him several years ago. This is what they do when you come up and set up shop in their space and try to take their stuff, but you allow anybody and everybody to come in and take your money. So what I need you to understand is this. Let's talk about this. Do me a favor, by the way, if you haven't done it, if you could, please hit the thumbs up button. That would mean a lot. We're building black-owned media, and I've used the word black in everything I've done for a long time. I ain't trying to be for everybody. I'm really here for you first. It doesn't mean I hate anybody else. I'm not disinviting anyone from this platform space. But what I am saying is that I'm here for Black folks first. That's where I am. I'm a Black man who happens to be a finance PhD. I am not a finance PhD who just happens to be Black. Okay. So like when I was in NASCAR, I said, I relate to LeVar Scott, the race car driver I met, because he was cool with being Black. I don't relate to Bubba Wallace, who's half white, who thinks he's white. He thinks he's 100% white. He doesn't really seem to care much about Black people. So that's not my type of guy. I said, I'll cheer for any Black man in this race except for Bubba Wallace. So this is where we come from. This is what we do. So here's the point I want to make on this. And I got a meeting in a minute, so I'm not going to take much of your time. Julian's video about Grant Cardone reminded me of the debate on integration. A lot of people would think, if you're not a complex mind, if you're not an intelligent person, you're going to think that someone like me, when we talk about integration and how integration has ruined Black wealth, how integration has destroyed Black families, how integration has ruined Black people in the educational system, how integration has led to Black people being used by everybody from political parties to everybody else and getting nothing in return. People would think that means I'm saying I'm anti-integration. They think that, right? Let me know if you know what I'm talking about. They think, oh, well, Boyce believes integration is bad and that white people are terrible and that we need to separate at all costs. No. It's like talking about marriage. If somebody says, you know what, I got married and it was terrible. I got my ass beat. They stole my money. They cheated on me. They mistreated me. They abused the hell out of me. I got kidnapped. It was horrible. That doesn't mean they're anti-marriage. They're not anti-marriage. They're anti-toxic marriage. They're not anti-relationship. They're anti-bad relationship. They're not saying they don't want to date. They're saying, I don't want to get stepped on and crapped on through my whole relationship. So what I'm saying to you is that I'm not anti-integration. I'm not. In fact, I'm pro-integration. In fact, every piece of economic theory I learned during my doctoral program says that various forms of economic integration are good for every economy. So I'm not anti-integration. I'm anti-exploitation. I'm not anti-integration. I'm anti-disintegration. When they disintegrate your culture, I'm not anti-integration. I'm anti-abuse. I'm not anti-white. I'm anti-oppression. I don't have an issue with white men. I got plenty of friends that are white men. You just got to show up with some respect. So bottom line point, I hope you guys can still hear me. My alarm just went off. Sometimes I'm doing this from my phone. So sometimes when my alarm goes off, the audio goes out. So let me know if you guys can hear me okay. So here's my basic point. I'm going to make this final point, then I'm going to get on out of here. No disrespect to Grant Cardone, but that comment that he made about Black people is something you got to think about. Also, for all that you take from Black people, I'd like to know how much is being given back. I've seen him on Black platforms, the Earn Your Leisure platform. I think they have him on there, and I love Earn Your Leisure. I love those guys. I'd be curious to know how much he exposes them to his audience. I'd also be curious to know, with just Black people in general, what's happening in that space that's elevating the Black community long term. Okay, guys. So that's all I got to say on this. I don't know how people are going to feel about it. I don't really care. I just want to definitely support my brother Julian Gordon. He's one of the smartest out here, one of the best out here. And what I love about Julian is Julian understands that you can do well and be Black at the same time. Julian understands that there is a double, triple bottom line when you talk about this wealth thing. Julian understands that it ain't just about the money because the white man got all the damn money. Stop worshiping money. Money is a tool. It is a weapon. It is a shield. It is a gun. It is something that will help you accomplish a goal. Money is like a vehicle that will take you to places you can't go. However, you cannot get to the point where you think that it's money over everything, because at that point, you might as well be a rapper who's rapping about things that are going to get little boys killed in about 10 years. I heard a song, literally, there's a song that's gone viral. This is how ridiculous it is. This is how much they dislike you and how much they want to see you die. There's a song that's going viral on TikTok, and the lyric and the chorus is, "The closer I get to you," and it's a song by Project Pat. And in the lyric, I swear, I kid you not, he says that I want a project broad, and he said, if I carry the dope, she'll take the charge. Literally, he said, literally, that's love. Like if I carry in the dope and I'm stupid enough to take penitentiary chances and put myself in a dumb situation, you love me so much. If you love me, you're gonna take the charge from me. And I'm sorry, I'm too real. I know too many people that have done many years in prison because they took the charge for somebody else, or because they were in the car when somebody else had some dope. Do you understand what drugs did to black people? Do you understand what the drug culture has done to black families? Do you understand what it's like to have a drug addict in your family? Anybody know what it's like to have a prison inmate in your family? You taking collect calls and shit. Anybody know what it's like to have somebody in your family that died at 17, 18 years old over something stupid? I don't know if anybody else gets it. I don't know if anybody else cares. I don't know if anybody else really feels like Black Lives Matter enough that we got to really think about what messages are being put in our kids. So I heard this song where he's like I want a bra who, if I got the dope, she'll take the charge. Let me just say this, ladies. Look, if your daddy ain't never told you, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be daddy boys, uncle boys for a minute. If a dude ever wants you to take the charge over his stupid behavior, then do not do that. That is not your man. That is not a man who loves you. You will go to prison for 100 years. He will find another woman in 2 weeks, and you're gonna be long forgotten, and your children will grow up without their mother. So don't ever listen to none of this nonsense. Listen to the common sense. Listen to the dollars and cents. Listen to the things that are gonna make your life better, not the things that are gonna make your life worse. And the same thing. Shout out to the black men that are doing the right thing, building for the community, loving black women, building black families, taking care of their children, doing everything right. And because you are the true billionaires in this community, you are the power brokers in this community, you are the winners in this community. You're the ones who are going to go across the finish line first. You're the one who are going to get us to the next level. You're the ones who are going to make us successful, not these stupid celebrities who are out here sitting next to oppressors, culture vulture in the whole damn black community. That's my 2 cents, guys. I got to go. I got a meeting. God bless you. Love you. My website is boycewatkins.com. My new book is called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. This book is on Amazon. You can buy it at my website, boycewatkins.com. I'm doing a tour. I'm going to do a Black Wealth Boot Camp in Los Angeles in March. You can go check that out. Just go to boycewatkins.com. All the information is there. So God bless you guys. Have a good day. Love you. I'll talk to you soon. Take care now. Peace.